am sure plenty of us can attest to how hard it can be to fit in high school. You never really know your place. There's going to be bullies. You're always trying to find that place to to find home, where you can find friends, where you can find your chosen family. But sometimes we seek that chosen family in the wrong places. That is what this episode of American Horror Stories is all about. Hello, my American Horror Story historians, and welcome to my channel. My name is EJ, and thank you so much for joining me for my breakdown of this Halloween event of 4 episodes of American Horror Stories. We are going to be diving into each one over the course of this weekend. I am so excited because honestly, American Horror Stories, as much as look, there's been like 2 seasons of it. There is some plenty. There's plenty of misses, but there has been some real positives. There's some been memorable ones, and I think this episode is going to join the memorable entries. Oh my goodness! Let's get into American Horror Stories Season 3, Episode 1. We are talking about Bestie. For these reviews, we're going to be following my traditional American Horror Story recap and review format. So we're going to be doing the review section now, where I give you my overall feelings of what I thought, and then we're going to recap the episode kind of play by play, get into the nitty gritty, what was the best moments, what were the most shocking moments. This episode had quite a bit there were some shocking things here. I was pretty impressed by what Bestie was about. I thought this one was very real, very heartfelt at times. I think there's a real honest message that they tried to send to it, but in true American Horror Stories fashion, especially these like little anthology 1 episodes, they have never ended positively. They're always a brutal, horror-filled ending, and this one is no different. But the journey we went through, I really felt the emotions. This is seemingly the longest episode we are going to get out of this new set of American Horror Stories, so I was happy that they used the time well. They really spent time getting us involved with Shelby, getting us involved with the Bestie character, what was going to happen as this twisted, toxic friendship, what happens when it unfolds, and how deep is Shelby going to get into this, especially, the stunts that she pulls, the baby scene, when she dressed up as the baby. Wow. I was disgusted but amazed. Like, this episode really put me through it, and I thought that was really it was really refreshing because we talked about it for our American Horror Stories. I have a ranking of every episode of American Horror Stories you can find up here somewhere. Overall, they're never really as compelling as this one is. They're usually just kind of quick horror stuff, a little maybe a little bit of gore, some shock factor ones. You remember that one with the pus? Oh, or the one where that girl hooked up with a dead body? Oh, or my favorite one with Billy Lord and the demon baby, which is basically just the delicate season we're at now. But yeah, I really think this one fits into some of those other ones that really made me feel something. I was kind of feeling for Shelby, and I wanted her character to get out of this horrible relationship with Bestie, though I liked some of the positive stuff that Bestie was giving her when she was telling her to be beautiful and wear the very outlandish makeup, when she was having her stand up to the bullies. I was enjoying that. Then, of course, that all got taken to an extreme that I would never agree with, but there is a part of me that really felt that Shelby was going to delve into herself and find a new passion for it. And then we have like the drag queen anorexia, the crazy prosthetic work for the Bestie character. There is just overall so many positives to this episode that I just cannot wait to get into this whole recap stuff. This has been my review. Overall, I like this one. A good way to kick off the Halloween event. Now let's get into the nitty gritty of why I think Bestie is one of the best American Horror Stories yet. So this episode comes from director Max Winkler, and we get a Macbeth opening. If y'all know me, I am a Macbeth person. One of my dream roles is either Lady Macbeth or one of the witches, and we get to start off with the witches getting sick. What's happening with them? We see like the theater teacher being like, this is not what's supposed to happen. Everyone, what the hell is going on? And we jump like, I believe 3 months earlier to that, and we meet Shelby and her father, who are moving into a new town. Shelby is getting horribly bullied at school by the mean gays. Let me tell you, if these 2 twinks and their little like fag hags, if they came up to me and started talking trash, this is how I know high school is much different now than when I was in school. These people would not be the bullies, and if they were, I would have clapped back. I'd be like, oh, y'all want to talk about me? Y'all the ones having to like hook up with straight dudes because nobody else wants it. I would have read each and every one of, I mean, when she does give her that little fiber read, I was like, ooh, Shelby, wow, that's like, very basic drag queen read, but hey, you're trying. So yeah, I think I cannot believe these people are bullying Shelby, but that's also the state of what, being in a more artsy school, being in school nowadays. I can't relate. So we're seeing Shelby try to adjust with her home life. She's lost her mother. She has a weird relationship with her father. And she's also addicted to this drag queen who does makeup reviews. Maybe a lot more than that. It seems to be a kind of a lifestyle makeup channel played, hosted by someone named Anorexia. She is a big fan of anorexia, and she's kind of just delving deeper into the YouTuber influencer world. This is where I thought she was going to get corrupted, and I was just like, uh-oh, our drag queen anorexia is going to be an evil, evil foe, and she's only the catalyst, because what happens to Shelby? She meets someone named BFF Forever in the chat room, and these two start bonding, and boy, when we see Bestie and what happens, I was shook. Even though Shelby is having a decent relationship with her theater teacher, Mr. Nevins, she is still kind of lost and wants that friend. So when she meets Bestie online in the anorexia chat room, she starts really getting into her. I mean, she's spending all her time talking to Bestie. Bestie seems, I mean, she's creepy at first, but you know what I like about her being creepy? It's not any of the facial deformities. Bestie is a girl suffering from some facial deformities. She says it was a birth defect while she was born because her mother was using. That's honestly not even really the scariest part of her. They don't really make her feel like a monster because of how she looks. It seems like she's kind of jaded from the world because of how she looks and how kind of sickly she is. But what I liked about this was she was creepy. Like, she was just evil manipulator from the beginning. And we're watching Bestie kind of make Shelby do more and more aggressive things. This is something simple as, why don't you hide your father's precious mug that was once your mother's? Then why don't you break it? Then why don't you start getting into drag makeup? And I'm like, okay, this is small teenage rebellion. We all do stuff to our parents. We all do stuff to people we go to school with when we want to start rebelling. And I was really kind of vibing with Shelby when she started, first off, when she did that beat, I liked that drag makeup. I thought she looked kind of cute. And when Bestie was like, girl, you're really good at this. And I'm like, for real, you should be one of those, like, bio queens. Give me, I don't know, be a drag queen. You could have done it, Shelby. But sadly, that is not where Shelby ends up with here. She starts wearing more makeup to school. She starts talking back to the bullies. And this is all fine. But Bestie pushes her in more and more deeper, darker directions. She wants her to poison the kids, much like we saw at the beginning of this. So we kind of start, we started the episode and then we meet up to our starting point. She's poisoned people. This is pretty crazy. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, she could not get any crazier and go any further. But Bestie pushes her to do something evil. So Mr. Nevins, the teacher, he's played by Jeff Hiller. Let me check my notes real quick. Yeah, Jeff Hiller, he was in NYC. He was the what was it, the Mai Tai killer. So yeah, this guy, I love him. I think he's such a talented actor, and I really like his relationship with Shelby, but she uses that relationship to her advantage by dressing up as this dead baby that Jeff mentioned that he, or Mr. Nevins mentioned that he had. And it's a sick, disgusting costume. I was kind of amazed by how cool the costume looked, but it was disgusting and it was cruel. And this is where Shelby's dad, who I vaguely know this actor, he was in Nip Tuck, I think, like years and years ago. Where do I know him from? Is he a American Horror Story actor? Where was this guy from? Why does he look so freaking familiar to me? But he's done with his daughter. He throws her into the basement and he's just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, okay, where are we gonna go with this? Is she going to hurt her father? Well, no. Bestie makes her hurt herself. Bestie makes her break her arm when she's down in that basement. And this is kind of the breaking point, literally. Like, this is where we start seeing Shelby recover from what Bestie has done to her. But Bestie looms and Bestie haunts, and she will get her way in such a a way I was seeing coming, but not the way it was. Not I could have not predicted how this ended. So the recovery process for Shelby is starting to unfold. We're seeing though Bestie still send her messages after message, starting to get her, back into her grip. Though we also meet a new student. Well, a student that Shelby has not spoke to this entire year, named Raven. They're fierce. They're like this beautiful black person, and I was just like, oh, Raven, be friends with Shelby. Start a connection. They actually started delving into a relationship with each other. And I think that was so great, but you can just feel something. Something was off with Raven's character. And I'm starting to see it maybe a little too late, much like Shelby did in this episode. But yes, Raven is starting to build with Shelby's relationship. Shelby is still having to deal with the haunting of what happened. They tried to do something nice for Mr. Nevins. That was really cute. And then, Shelby decides to tell Raven what all happened. And, Raven's like, cool. Oh, let's do a road trip together. And I'm like, oh boy, they're going to take her to see. Oh, she's at Bestie's house. And it's a creepy, dilapidated house. And there's an instant dread and terror the moment Shelby walks in here. You know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. I knew the moment that she started coming down and she scared Shelby. Shelby turns around and Raven stabs her. Like, I knew she was manipulating. I knew Raven was involved, but I didn't know that it was going to be that Shelby was, there was that little moment where, you both like anorexia. So I'm like, ooh, maybe like Bestie had already got to Raven. Did not know how far it got. But Bestie found a new bestie, and it's Raven. And Raven's done everything that Bestie's wanted. And that's the twist, sick ending where our lead, Shelby, that we follow the whole thing, is stabbed and murdered. And Bestie gets a new bestie, and Raven's gone down the path. And it ends in this, like, the end. Like, oh, look at the dude, like, best friends forever. And you're like, oh, Mike, I don't want friends. If this is what having friends is like, no. This episode, it took me through it. I felt so much for these characters. I thought Bestie was played, I think Jessica Barden is the actor's name, played to perfection there. Such a good performance. And I thought the actress who played Shelby was really good. I think everyone did well in this episode and really made me feel invested in these characters, in their journey, in their struggle. And when things went wrong, you felt for it. The ending, this isn't like the most masterpiece thing, but it does still feel American Horror Story. That's what I really liked about this. This felt like it was in the universe. This felt like this could have been a, what was her name, a Violet subplot in the Murder House episode 3 kind of shit. Like, there was so much here that actually felt relatable, felt new. There was the dread, there was the terror, but I liked it. I don't know, there's something about Bestie really spoke to me. I haven't seen the rest of the episodes. I wanted to get this one out real quick. Hopefully the rest are just as strong as this. I could have just cursed myself right there. Well, everyone, that is it for my review of the first episode of American Horror Stories Season 3. This is our Halloween 4-day event over at my channel. Even though they only have 4 episodes, they dropped them all last night. Y'all couldn't really do like each one each day, so I could have reviewed it. Everything's out already. Oh my goodness, I have to catch up and watch all these episodes. But what did you guys think of Bestie? I thought this was a great way of kicking things off. Really enjoyed this episode. Really enjoyed like the makeup. I thought the sense of horror and terror was there, but it was also really deeply depressing. This had a lot of layers, a lot going on, and I really enjoyed it. What did you all think? Subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. I want to know your feelings down in those comments below. And let's talk about American Horror Stories in this Halloween event.